Well, we have just come out of a live press briefing by KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala, and we have our reporters in and around Nongoma, as we have I Simphiwe Makhanya, who is KwaKhethomthandayo Palace, and we cross live to him now to give us an update of what's happening in and around the vicinity there. And of course, it has been a very busy morning and a very somber moment where you are now, Simphiwe.
Certainly, Colin, we have seen quite a number of local residents as well as local leaders from here in Nongoma coming to this palace, which is Kwa-Khethomthandayo. This palace behind us, Colin, is a palace where the king grew up as a young boy. This is the main palace out of the 6 that the king had. Earlier on, we saw a number of people coming here, Colin, to pay their, actually send their condolences after the news of the King Goodwill Zwelithini passing on broke out. Behind me at the moment, you don't see a lot of people. I think we have about 5 or so people who are still stationed here outside the premises of the palace. But earlier, there were quite a number of people coming here to actually send their condolences. We understand that the body of the king will be brought here, where he will lie instead, and actually allow the close family members as well as friends to actually view his body before the official funeral. We are still awaiting details of that, Colin. We have just had a media briefing, as you said, by the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, outlining what the province of KwaZulu-Natal actually plans ahead of the funeral, urging also residents to adhere to the regulations of the COVID-19, because as you know, that as it was said by the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, that the king actually contracted the virus while he was actually in hospital. There's been a number of sentiments here expressed, Colin. One of the things that people say boldly when they remember the legacy of His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini is the fact that he stood for unity in this province. He was a towering figure, a person who actually was respected by many, even if you mention the different political parties. He played a very crucial role also in building unity in this province during a very volatile time in the 1980s as well as early in the late 80s as well as 1980s. Colin, a lot has been said about his role also when it comes to the issue of developing rural communities. He was very vocal against acts such as corruption in the government. He spoke very boldly when it came to the issue of women and children abuse. He has been also hailed for his role also in trying to foster unity amongst the different races as well, not just only when it comes to the issue of AmaZulu, but he has been also hailed for his role in actually trying to foster unity amongst different races. What we do know, Colin, at the moment is that those people who have been, coming here to pay their last respect have been actually saying that a giant has fallen. He remains a giant in their eyes. They say he was respected by quite a number of people for his role, obviously, as an elder in this province of KwaZulu-Natal. He has been serving as the king of AmaZulu Nation for over 50 years now, the longest serving king of AmaZulu Nation. Colin?
Yeah, Simphiwe, what we remember about him is being very outspoken when it comes to a number of controversial issues. Just, of course, the one that comes to mind now, the issue of the Nongoma Trust, and when we were talking about expropriation of land without compensation. Let us just remember his stance regarding that matter.
Certainly, Colin, he he has been obviously at the forefront when it comes to the issue of the Ingonyama Trust since it was formed in the early 1994s. He has been actually the sole trustee of that trust, which governs about 3 million hectares of land. KwaZulu-Natal being a mostly rural province, the king has been respected by many people who actually live in the rural areas. Colin?
Simphiwe, we remember as well how he actually was not afraid to speak his mind, even though he drew opposition and criticism from the organizations that were against, shall we say, a circumcision of women or virginity testing. So when it comes to Umkhosi Womhlanga, the annual wreath dance, he was saying that he feels ashamed of people, especially black people, who have such feelings against such a custom. And this would now take us back to those days when the king was saying that there was this anti-Zulu feeling that was being propagated, and he seemed not to tolerate that, and he would have none of it. Take us through those memories.
Precisely, Colin. As you are mentioning, Umkhosi Womhlanga, which is one of the cultures or customs that the Amazulu king actually reignited when he took over the monarchy here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. That, he said, according to him, actually played a very pivotal role in actually dealing with the issue of HIV and AIDS transmission in this province and also elsewhere, because that practice is now well known and attended by thousands and thousands of maidens. The king is also hailed for his role in actually reintroducing cultures or practices such as Umkhosi Womhlanga as well. To basically try and encourage maidens to actually preserve their virginity in the fight against obviously the HIV and AIDS. The province lost a number of people due to this virus. But what was said by the current chairperson of the Health Portfolio Committee in Parliament, Dr. Sibongiseni Dlomo, is the fact that when the king introduced this practice, we saw quite a number of people, people's lives being saved as a result of the introduction of Umkhosi Womhlanga, as well as the issue of virginity testing. Colin?
Yeah, so Simphiwe, as you grew up, a young boy in KZN, surely you would remember the time when we were trying to draw parallels between the Zulu monarchy and the government, and the king was really trying to portray a position of neutrality when it came to traditional matters as well as governance issues, politics to that effect. Remember the time when he refused to address the legislature of KwaZulu-Natal. So it meant that when the Zulu king spoke, the Zulu nation listened. So take us through the memories of that tense moment where people have to listen to government and listen to the king at the same time, and there would be some contradiction in that stance. How was that sentiment throughout the province?
Earlier on, when the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal held a media briefing just a short while ago, Colin, he did make mention of the fact that the king was now working very closely with the provincial government. And if you pay attention, Colin, he's the only monarch who is allowed to officially open the provincial legislature in KwaZulu-Natal. So he has been seen for a number of years as that kind of a crucial father figure, if I may put it that way, in actually seeing to it that the provincial government operates efficiently. His role, Colin, in the operations of the provincial government. I'm just going to step out of the shot, Colin, just to give you a bit of a better picture of what is currently happening at the moment. We are seeing quite a handful of people also coming out from the palace. They are sitting here as they have been sitting throughout the morning when the news broke out. Many of those that you see in your visuals here, Collins, are or in the royal household, are from the royal household, and some of them are ordinary community members who have been coming here to send their condolences as the day progresses. We understand, according to the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, that the king's body will be brought here for the family as well as close family members to actually view the body before the burial takes place. Colin?
Right, coming to you live from Nongoma, outside the KwaKhethomthandayo Palace, where the late King Goodwill Zwelithini grew up, and keeping us apace with the developments as we are having mourners turning up to come and convey their condolences, and we'll keep on updating you with the latest information that comes to that effect. And we are expecting that the announcement that was made earlier that Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi will fetch the body so that it can come and lie in state, so that the family and extended family can be able to view it, and we'll keep you posted regarding that. So in the meantime, let's go to other news now.